Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, then turn that notification button on right now.
It's important to put safety first while performing in a pro wrestling match. When two people step into a ring, there's a certain sense of trust and understanding between them, and these factors serve as the foundation for every match. But what happens when one of the wrestlers from the two is sloppy or stiff? The foundation subsequently becomes shaky. Interestingly, there are many wrestlers out there in the wrestling business who have built up a reputation for being dangerous workers. Hey everybody, my name is John, and these are 10 wrestlers who are dangerous to work with. Jack Swagger is currently at the doorsteps of an MMA career after signing with Bellator, but what gets him a place in this list is his run in WWE. The former heavyweight champ had a reputation for being dangerous to work with. A few years back, Swagger was responsible for separating the shoulder of Wade Barrett after throwing Barrett into the barricade carelessly. Similarly, he was also held responsible for concussing Dolph Ziggler at one point. While the All-American American was also involved in a handful of such incidents, it's these two that stand out from the lot. Even though injuries caused by Swagger are low compared to the others in this list, he has done enough to book a spot. On the flip side, Swagger had many nagging problems outside the ring as well. Hopefully he will find some success in the MMA world, unlike some other big names that crossed over. Before JBL settled down as a commentator, he had a decorated in-ring career. He first found success as part of APA during the Attitude Era when he teamed with Ron Simmons. JBL went on to become a main event level heel on SmackDown in mid-2000s and had a long WWE title reign as well. Though both his characters were at extreme ends, the stiff work that he brought into the ring remained the same. JBL's finisher, the Clothesline from Hell, is also nothing to sneeze at. Not only this, he was known for disciplining newcomers inside the ring with his stiff work. A prime example is how JBL beat up Blue Meanie during the ECW Invasion angle. The Dudley Boys had also opened up about JBL and how he tested them inside the ring when they first came to WWE from ECW.
We knew damn well that we were going to get tested our first night in, well, our first angle in with the Acolytes, because of what Public Enemy had done before we got there. See, Public Enemy left a really bad taste in people's mouths, and their final night there, or their final couple matches, Ron and John beat the shit out of them. We came in with a perception of these guys are going to be worse than the Public Enemy.
AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers out there, but at the same time it's hard to ignore that his finisher could be a dangerous one. Before AJ moved to WWE and found a place in the promotion, he had a stint in New Japan Pro Wrestling and even the indie circuit where the Styles clash created many problems. Wrestlers like Yoshitatsu and Lionheart have been on the receiving end of the Styles clash going wrong and injured themselves while taking the move. Meanwhile, other wrestlers like Roderick Strong and Kazarians also had close calls. Though Styles has managed to use the move safely ever since he moved to WWE, the move being safe in general is still debated amongst fans. As fans, it is fun to witness Brock Lesnar tear apart his opponents. The athletic superiority and monster abilities of Lesnar make him a legit force inside the ring, but people who lock horns with him don't always come out safe on the other side. Currently, the only case against Lesnar is probably about his stiff work. But back during his first run with WWE, the Beast was known for legitimately causing major injuries to his opponents. He once broke the neck of Hardcore Khali and would go on to break the ribs of Jamie Noble as well. Speaking of recent incidents, Lesnar reportedly concussed The Undertaker during the iconic streak-ending match at WrestleMania 30, and was also responsible for bloodying Randy Orton with elbows. One thing that works in favor of Lesnar's stiff work is that it perfectly fits into his gimmick, so even if he makes a mistake at some point in the match, it ends up being part of the narrative. Nevertheless, Lesnar remains a blockbuster draw for WWE, irrespective of whether he is a dangerous worker to work with or not, and that is unlikely to change in the near future. Just like the case with AJ Styles, there's no denying the fact that Seth Rollins is an exceptional in-ring performer. However, he has built up a reputation for being a bit of a dangerous worker. The former Shield member was called out by Bret Hart for allegedly ending the in-ring career of Sting, while Rollins also injured Finn Balor during one of their matches. Interestingly enough, both these incidents stemmed from a single move, the turnbuckle powerbomb, and if you think that the problem lies in the particular move, think again. Rollins once broke the nose of John Cena while delivering the curb stomp, and this once again showed the careless side of the architect. All these incidents make Rollins worthy enough to make this list. Then again, his wrestling skills often overshadow the mistakes he makes, and soon people are likely to forget these unless Rollins repeats them again. Then there's also the whole argument of it's not Seth's fault, it's the guy taking the move, so this can be debated about for hours. The risk that could be involved with wrestling with the Ryback was first brought to the attention of the fans by none other than CM Punk. After his infamous walkout from the company, CM Punk went on to appear on his friend Colt Cabana's podcast where he talked about a string of topics including how Ryback failed to protect him during matches. The big guy, who had his own walkout from the company sometime later, is also known for concussing Dolph Ziggler with a stiff clothesline, poor Dolph. His outing against AJ Styles was another example of how dangerous Ryback's in-ring work was. But we all know the big guy has a different version of all these stories. It's safe to say that he is not one of the safest workers out there at the least. Right? Goldberg was known to be a hard wrestler to work with as he pushed to the main event scene at lightning speed. Goldberg barely had the time to develop as a proper in-ring performer. On top of this, the way he was booked never challenged him to improve, and this worsened the situation entirely. He was the epicenter of many awkward situations that things reached a boiling point when Goldberg ended up kicking Bret Hart in the head at the 1999 edition of Starrcade. Bret himself has opened up about the incident on various occasions and even claimed that Goldberg did not know what he was doing. The kick and the rematches that followed allegedly had an impact on shortening the career of the Hitman, as this may stand out as one of those not so memorable highlights in Goldberg's in-ring career. The Great Khali is an obvious inclusion to the list. While the sheer size of Khali is something that leaves the WWE universe in awe, he was never known as a good in-ring performer by any means. In fact, Khali even struggled to walk properly due to his large frame. His biggest strength was his biggest weakness, and Khali's size limited his mobility inside the ring. The 7-foot giant was involved in many sloppy matches as a result during his initial days of his career. Khali even contributed to the death of a fellow wrestler named Brian Ong. A botched flapjack from Khali resulted in his death, and even though Khali went on to improve his in-ring work, the incident still remains a black mark on his resume. Fortunately, Khali stays away from in-ring competition these days and runs his own promotion back in India. During his heyday, Vader was one of the stiffest wrestlers in the business. Almost all of his opponents used to get hurt because of his style, and most notably from the list is Mick Foley. Apart from the time that Mick Foley got his ear torn off, there were many instances where Foley suffered concussions thanks to Big Vader. Bret Hart was another big name that ended up on the wrong side of Vader's strong style. Hart was vocal about the issue, and he once said that wrestling Vader was like wrestling with a cement truck filled with barf. Despite all this, no one can argue that the fact that Vader holds a special place in the heart of wrestling fans due to his brilliance as a heavyweight wrestler. It would be a crime not to include New Jack on this list. One of the major names in hardcore wrestling, New Jack rose to fame thanks to his stint in Paul Heyman's ECW. He never managed to get into WCW or WWE, and that was probably for good reason, because New Jack is crazy. The guy apparently had no problems bloodying himself and his opponents, and the worst part about this was that he enjoyed doing this kind of stuff. He was involved in the infamous mass transit incident in ECW where he ended up blading a young kid, leaving a pool of blood in the ring. The kid was cut so much that he was rushed to the hospital and almost died due to blood loss, which resulted in ECW and Paul Heyman getting sued for the whole incident. He is also known for his 20-foot fall on concrete which almost killed him and Vic Grimes. This incident also caused brain damage for New Jack and even made him temporarily blind in one of his eyes. As it's very hard to find someone as crazy as New Jack in the wrestling business, at the moment he tops the list for most dangerous wrestlers out there. Do you think there's anyone crazier than New Jack? Let me know in the comments below. And these were 10 wrestlers who are dangerous to work with. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching Wrestling Hub, and I will see you later with more wrestling videos.